institutions in regards to internationalization. I would now like to invite to the stage Dr. Vinod Kopse. Dr. Kopse is a professor and director at the Noida Institute of Engineering and Technology, with over 22 years of experience working at different levels in terms of teaching and research, handling different responsibilities. Dr. Kopse has over 50 research papers published in national and international journals to his name. He has been on the editorial board of numerous international and national journals, has been also out of many distinctions, conference chair of International Conference on Embedded Systems in Thailand. He has successfully guided over 30 postgraduate students in helping them accomplish their research work, and has been the recipient of numerous grants in terms of research conferences. So without further ado, Dr. Kopse, I'm handing the stage over to you for your insight into internationalization at the Noida Institute for an allocated speaking time of 15 minutes. Dr.
Thank you. Please share my presentation. So on behalf of NIT, I would like to thank QS IGAUGE for providing the opportunity to talk on this internationalization of college. About NIT, NIT is NAAC accredited with grade A. We have QS IGAUGE diamond rating, 5 BTech programs in computer science engineering, electronics and communication, mechanical engineering, information technology, biotechnology are MBA accredited. Also, we have 2 PG programs, that is in MBA and MCA, are NBA accredited. Also, we have NIRF ranking in the band of 201 to 250. Also, NIT is the first private institution with autonomous status in AKTU Lucknow, that is the state of Uttar Pradesh. So, as in the previous sessions, the different speakers already brief about the autonomy. Autonomy is a very important factor when you go for the internationalization. So NIT has this privilege of autonomous status, and we are in the position to develop the course curriculum which will cater the globalization. It will help to develop the graduates which will work at the international platform. So this is one of the major advantage at Noida Institute of Engineering and Technology, Greater Noida, when you will go for the internationalization. So please share the next slide. So today's topic for my talk is internationalization of college. Please next. So during my presentation, I will cover introduction of international colleges, need of internationalization, benefits, key skills developed through this internationalization, strategic implementation plan, internationalization, area of internationalization, challenges, and new education policy which will help the internationalization of the colleges, the AICT collaboration and twinning program, and the initiative and policies to attract international students. Next. So as I already told you, the advent of globalization, advanced information technology, and increased translational travel has enabled higher education in many countries to expand their services beyond their traditional boundaries. Or in other words, we can say that due to the development of technology, internationalization of education is a very important thing, and it is a need of hour. And if we talk about the India, from ancient time, India is the traditionally a center for favorite education destination. So Nalanda, Takshila, Vikramshila are the famous as favorite destinations for hosting renowned scholars from all over the world. And in India, today, more than 40,000 international students from 164 different countries are visiting to the various institutes as well as universities. But if we talk about in the last decade, this number is reduced. So that's why to improve the internationalization of education, that is in higher education, so new education policy is proposed, and it will help to increase this particular number and the India become a Vishwaguru. Next slide. So why we go for internationalization of education? Why India has the potential to become a favorite destination? So we have the education infrastructure, large growing industry, job market, lifestyle and convenience. Cost of living in India is low compared to the other developed countries. Next. The various authors has already published their research on this internationalization of the institute. Like the Kong argues that due to the increasing demand in the labor market of graduates with professional, academic, multilingual, social and intercultural skill and attitude, internationalizing higher education cannot be overlooked. Moreover, with limited research resources, international partnership among universities appear to be the most viable means of accomplishing the task of internationalization. Next. So one of the author, Knight, upgraded her previous definition on internationalization to include the process of integrating international, intercultural or global dimension into the purpose, functions or delivery of post-secondary education. Please next. So why there is a need of internationalization? The different factors are there, the different parameters are there due to which we need to promote this internationalization, like cross-cultural exchanges, commercial advantage, knowledge and language acquisition, enhancing the curriculum with enhance international placements, global footprints through extended alumni, exuberate confidence of international community, creates further pool. Next. Apart from these parameters, definitely the local impact, which will improve the quality of education at the institute, like internationalized institutions are valued and command better value position. Internationalized institutions are stronger institutions generally. As such, there are a better position to attract the best. The global footprint is essential for any institution to be recognized for its quality. All institutions that are noted for their excellence also have a significant international presence. Internationalized institutions are financially stronger, can attract the best resources and maintain infrastructure, can keep pace with technological changes because of their financial strength. Please next. So apart from this, once you go for the internationalization, definitely we have to improve our curriculum. We have to cope up with the global demands, global requirements. So global competency is essential for successful career in globalized society and economy. Every college graduate should develop the international skills and perspective that will enable them to become responsible and well-informed members of extended society. Complete mastery of any academic disciplines requires an understanding of its international dimension. Apart from this, when you go for the collaboration with various research organizations, if you sign the MOUs with different research organizations, definitely the research activity at your institute will be improved. So next slide. So what are the rationales behind the internationalization? So Ignar argued have led to 4 different policies, approaches to internationalization of higher education institute, like the mutual understanding approach. The first approach is mutual understanding approach. Under this approach, it encompasses the political, cultural, academic, and development aid goals. It allows and encourages mobility of domestic as well as the foreign students and staff through scholarship and academic exchange programs, and supports academic partnership between the educational institution. This approach does not generally involve any strong push to recruit international students. The next approach is the skill migration approach. The skilled migration approach shares the goal of the mutual understanding approach, but gives stronger emphasis to the recruitment of selected international students and aims to attract talented students to work to the host country knowledge economy or make its higher education and research sectors more competitive. Scholarship programs will help this particular approach more competitive. The next is the revenue generating approach, shares the rationales of mutual understanding and skill migration approach, but offers higher education services on more or less full fee basis without public subsidies. Compared to the domestic students, foreign students generate additional income for institutions which are encouraged to become entrepreneurial in the international market. Apart from this, the next approach is capacity building approach, encourages the cross-border higher education, higher delivery delivered as a relatively quick way to build an emerging country capacity. Next. So apart from this, as per my view, the top rationales for internationalization are the student preparedness. If we go for internationalization, definitely our course curriculum will be different. We have to develop the skills which will cope up the internationalization, or we can say that the global needs. So that's why the technical skills of the students will be improved, soft skills will be improved. We have to develop the curriculum which will cater the needs of the industry on the international basis. The profile and the reputation of the institute will be improved. We have to promote the research activities and increase diversity of the students. Next. So once we go for the internationalization, what are the benefits out of this internationalization? The first important benefit will be the international awareness of the students. So the overall education system will be for the benefit of the students. So once we go for the internationalization, the students will get the exposure at the international level. So the ability to function effectively in the today's world, to change the perspective of the students, an effective way to produce workforce that can adapt to international settings. It will strengthen the research facilities, research area at the institute. Then the curriculum will be as per the needs of the globalization, enhance the prestige as well as the profile of the institute. Next. So due to internationalization, the various benefits will get to the students like appropriate and inappropriate behavior, professional and personal development, global knowledge, development of empathy, friendship and networking of the students, acquisition of first-hand cultural knowledge of other countries, multilingual abilities. Next. So once you go for the internationalization, definitely due to the international mobility, the various key skills will be developed in the students like self-awareness, self-confidence, sense of identity, and personal independence, being informed, greater interest in the global affairs and cross-cultural perspective, lateral learning, readiness for serving multinationals, helps bridging technological gaps, organization skills, project management, decision-making, creativity and taking on responsibilities, vision and independence, experience, broader outlook and attitude, problem-solving skill, coping strategies and risk-taking, patience, flexibility, adaptability, open-mindedness and humanities, teamwork and team leadership skills, adaptability for cross-cultural work practice. These are the very, very important skills which are nowadays demanded by the various global industries. So these skills are very, very important. So if we go for the internationalization, these skills will be developed in the students. Next. Next. So if we go for the internationalization, definitely the faculty will be the backbone of any education system. So faculty engagement will be a very important part, and these faculty will be involved in various activities of internationalization, like reward and recognition, intentionally assigned faculty roles. The faculty will be involved in accreditation process, development of various infrastructure, academic activities, the funds allocation, and various promotional activities. Next. So once we go for internationalization, the institute has various priorities like the outgoing mobility for the students, international student exchanges, attracting international students, research collaboration, strengthen the international content of the curriculum, outgoing mobility for faculty as well as staff, development capacity, building projects, internationalization at home. Please next. So various approaches which are required for the internationalization, like activity approach. Under this approach, activities such as recruitment of international students and faculty, exchange program and technical assistance from one institution to the another. The process approach will focus on the sustainability of the international education through a process that encompasses not only teaching and research, but also policies and procedure that are international or intercultural in nature. The ethos approach will focus on development of an organizational culture that nurtures intercultural, multicultural, and global sensitivity. The competence approach will aims to develop international competencies for students, faculty, and staff through the development of international curricula and program. Next. So this activity approach includes the recruitment of various international students, offer foreign languages to the students as well as faculty, institution of intercultural events and festivals, students, faculty, staff exchange, memoranda of understanding with various global industries, students exchange program with abroad universities as well as institutes, the internationalization of curriculum. Next. The activity, next. This competency approach is a very important part, because when you go for the internationalization, we are talking about the needs of global industry. So we have to develop the various skills, various competencies which will cater, which will suit the needs of the global industry. So under this particular competency approach, we have to work on the faculty and staff skills which can be developed by the participation in various international level events such as conferences, hiring international competent faculty and staff, global certifications of various skill programs, foreign language study. Next. So when you go for the international, we have to focus in some of the areas like training and teaching, research, then relationship with society and culture. Next. So, when you go for internationalization, we have to take some initiatives. We have to measure the success because as we are going for internationalization, we have to set some goals. We have to set vision, mission, and according to that, we have to assess these goals, vision, missions, parameter time to time, so that we can find out what is the success of this particular program. So for that purpose, we have to take some initiatives, like we have to identify the core strengths, identify the weak areas for the institute, then decide what strengths the institute would like to leverage, identify the perspective, market of chosen strength, identify the specific requirement of target market, reorient curriculum, process, marketing network, infrastructure and resources to serve the identified needs, define measures for measuring the success of above plan. Next.
Dr. Kapse, I would request you to please wind up in next 1 or 2 minutes if possible.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Last NEP slide, last 2 slides, ma'am. So as I already discussed that why the internationalization is required, and in my first slide itself, I discussed that in last decade, the number of admissions in the Indian institute is reduced, that is by the foreign students. So for that purpose, the NEP, National Education Policy 2020 emphasizes on this internationalization of the higher education. The NEP proposes the following major changes, like India to be promoted as a foreign study destination, and every institution to have every institution to have an international students office, focus on providing a premium education at affordable cost, Foreign colleges and universities can set up the colleges in India. Research and teaching collaboration and faculty-student exchanges with high-quality foreign institutions will be facilitated. So these are some of the action plans are proposed by the NEP 2020. Next. So also the AICT has taken the initiative to promote this internationalization by starting the collaboration and twinning program. Under this program, the various technical institutes can collaborate with the foreign universities to promote the staff exchange program, student exchange programs, and definitely it will help us to go for internationalization. Next. So initiatives and policies to attract the international students at NIT, like cost effectiveness of Indian education system. Typical cost is 1/4 of the leading universities in the world. So improve market share by offering scholarship to the meritorious foreign students, ease of admission and socialization, facilitate health cover and quality medical support to the students, provide quality recreational and sports facilities at the campus, universally applicable curriculum that will render individuals ready for the global market, recruit the teachers who have the right expertise and experience and can shape the talented students for a better career path. In addition, need to provide the flexibility to tailor courses to a student's interest, and freedom to work on a part-time basis while studying adds to overall appeal of earning a degree abroad, will increase the overall quality of the education. Next. So at the end, I can say that going forward, academia should be delivering intercultural quality education to serve the global society, professionals with global outlook and tolerance. Thank you. So thank you for providing the opportunity to share my views. Thank you.
Dr. Kopse, thank you so much for this very comprehensive insight into the internationalization strategy at NIET. I think linked to the excellent presentation that Dr. Chitkara made, I think it's two very good examples of holistic policy with a view of going from local to global. So thanks to both of you for your excellent contribution. Chitra, I will now take over, if you don't mind. If you could share my presentation starting from slide 2, I will now attempt to give you a little bit of an insight about how we at QS help the various institutions around the world with their internationalization strategy. Next slide, please. Okay, so we know that internationalization efforts on long-term institutional improvements in that respect have been an ongoing effort for several decades now around the world. And QS has a unique position in helping universities improve their reputation on ranking through a range of key factors and parameters that they've been studying at QS, on compiling, on analyzing for over 30 years. So we're going to take just a few minutes to go through some of these factors on how they impact and can help the growth of institution from an internationalization perspective. Next slide, please. So there's a complex array of factors that are included and determine the overall ranking of institutions over time. But if we compare how things have changed from 2012 to 2020, we see some very important factors. Among them, the percentage of international faculty, the percentage of international students, and the ratio of faculty per students seem to be key drivers in terms of spotting and highlighting high-performance institutions. And we see that globally, across the world, there has been a growth in those key factors. If we just pick a couple of highlights, we see that the percentage of international faculty, for example, has grown from below 5% to just over 10%. On the percentage of international students on that stage has grown from just over 5% to nearly 15% in just 8 years. Next slide, please. So what does that decade of growth tell us in terms of international strategies for universities that truly want to mark their place in the global stage? We see that regardless of geographical location, in all regions of the world, we have seen growth in all the main parameters that make up internationalization imprint. If we highlight, for example, the Asia-Pacific region, we can see that the citations per faculty ratio, for example, has grown from 7.5% to an astonishing 32.5%. The overall number of students is kind of stable, but we see a rise in the number of international students in terms of percentage. And altogether, that growth across these parameters has an interesting impact in the way institutions worldwide change and adapt their internationalization strategies to compete in the global market. Next slide, please. Obviously, COVID, unfortunately, has had a major impact worldwide on the internationalization efforts led by universities. It impacted mostly two main areas of internationalization: student mobility, outgoing mobility, incoming mobilities, and of course, internationalization programs in terms of joint research. A lot of institutions since COVID started to impact their existing strategy have had to be very agile and be able to improvise very quickly in order to secure funding for the continuation of their internationalization efforts. One of the key factors that institutions have identified is that they needed to ensure contact with their partners was kept active, and obviously international travel having grinded to a halt, they had to turn to online communication platforms to ensure continuation of the dialogue. So if we take a look at the impact that COVID had worldwide, the silver lining to the cloud is that it was a catalyst for institutions to think outside of the box. It pushed them creatively to turn to different online mechanisms in order to ensure the continuity on the adaptation of their internationalization efforts. And this encompasses several aspects of the internationalization efforts for the staff in terms of teaching and research, for the staff who is in charge of the administrative side of things, and obviously for students. So we've seen globally a massive shift in terms of replacing paperwork on the manual handling of processes towards a more digital way of dealing with processes in terms of data exchanges through networks. The aim of this shift in strategy helped in reduce the administrative burden for students and admin staffs, thanks to the use of digital platforms. And in parallel to that, this led to the creation of a more digitally focused infrastructure to incorporate the various programs that have been highlighted by our two esteemed presenters earlier on in this panel. And what's interesting to keep in mind is that as hopefully we're starting to see an exit to the COVID-imposed crisis, most institutions around the world think this shift to digitalization is here to stay and will be one of the biggest legacy impacts in a post-COVID world. Next slide, please. So partnerships obviously are a very important part of global internationalization strategies for universities, and many of institutions worldwide, they have been able to strengthen their partnerships with existing partners across the world using online meeting platforms as a way to replace the traditional forms of travel, which were obviously time-consuming and an expensive element in terms of budget when dealing with the maintenance and growth of a network of partners around the world. What's very interesting is that in terms of engaging partners, we're really starting to see worldwide an emerging model, which is essentially hybrid. It's a combination of physical events. They will not disappear off the landscape completely, but it seems there's going to be a particular focus at very specific stages in the relationship. There's also a more predominant place given to virtual engagements, and I think the iGauge event that we are all taking part of today is a perfect illustration of this. So universities, with the absence of physical events, as part of their internationalization strategies, we're faced with a lack of avenues in finding potential partners. We cannot replace physical networking altogether. On some universities, we're faced with a conundrum because of the dry up in international travel and networking, but the lack of virtual platforms that were available to them at the time the crisis hit to help them find potential partners. Next slide, please. Now, we're seeing also a shift in parallel to the way partnerships are handled in terms of virtual mobility exchanges. So there was a quick gap that the academics institutions needed to breach since 2020, and there was a massive turn globally towards a virtual mobility model, again, which doesn't entirely replace traditional mobility programs, but we're starting to see a hybrid model of virtual mobility with students from their home institutions actively engaging in various programs, whether it's learning, whether it's research, with students from host universities across the globe through online platforms. If we take a look at the challenges that virtual mobilities bring, they take place across a huge spectrum, from organizational level in terms of planning, logistics, and obviously legal frameworks, agreements, even if they're virtual, are essential in terms of partnerships between institutions, pedagogical challenges, methods of interactions, particularly in terms of learning programs and research programs, assessments being conducted by the teaching staff. And obviously, because we are talking about moving to a virtual environment, there are a huge array of technical challenges, identifying and putting to use appropriate technologies, making sure that the staff and the students are trained in order to use those technology platforms in an efficient way. And obviously, there's also an element of quality assurance that has to be incorporated into the way institutions handle virtual mobilities in order to ensure that quality is maintained through this new medium of exchange. Next slide, please. Okay. Move On, which I represent today, is an online platform that is specifically designed to support universities worldwide in their internationalization initiatives through the spectrum of outgoing and incoming mobilities, as well as partnership management. Next slide, please. Okay. So the way Move On has been designed and the way Move On is evolving as a platform is that it's truly becoming what we would call a hub, a one-stop place for internationalization. Just to give you a very high-level highlight of what the platform can do, it provides access to a higher education directory with over 7,000 institution profiles listed in this directory. Each of the institution profile contains multiple elements of data that can be focused on according to the interest of the person accessing the directory. Institution performance, rankings, reputation, employability, international students, faculty ratio, and so on. It's a very easy way for institutions to find potential partners through multiple filters that they can use when accessing the directory. And obviously, institutions can also maintain and develop their institution profile to attract potential partners. Through the hub, universities worldwide can access their own data exchange platform called Move On Lite entirely free of charge. If some of you are interested, we provide the link for you guys to access the platform and make an opinion for yourself. Next slide, please. Move On Lite is a very powerful way to exchange data with your partner institutions worldwide. I'm just going to highlight a couple of the benefits. As an institution, you can get connected to a huge network of worldwide institutions. As we've seen a second ago, it's over 7,000 institutions that are connected to this platform. And you can also inform universities that you're actively engaged in partnership with to access Move On Lite, as it facilitates the exchange of information. It's a very capable tool. You can do basic management in terms of managing the partnerships with your partners, looking at granular details depending on what your interest is. And you can also manage a huge part of your student mobilities, including nominations with your partners in an entirely digital way. There's obviously a reporting element that's available to users as well. You can extract reports with various filters that you can decide on, associated with your partnerships on the mobility exchange programs that you're engaged in with your partners. Next slide, please. Okay, so just to give you a super high-level introduction to Move On, you can manage the main aspects of your international partnerships through Move On. You can also manage your mobilities, including various exchange programs, integration capabilities. Over in Europe, there has been a massive shift towards handling the totality of mobility exchanges for students as part of the European Erasmus exchange program through a digital network called EWP. Move On, as an example, is fully integrated with this new digital way of dealing with mobility exchanges. Move On also acts as data storage and reporting platform. You can build online reports that are easily accessible to all your internal stakeholders at all levels of the institution. For any stakeholders that are interested in insight into your mobility exchanges and your partnership management. And there's a variety of roles that you can assign to your users according to what you need them to do in terms of your internationalization strategy in the platform. It also gives you the possibility to manage scholarship, applications, funding management, grant rules. You can actually make payments and track those payments in the platform itself. And Move On obviously offers a very customizable interface and various integration possibilities through an open API, as well as access to single sign-on models for universities worldwide. Next, please. Okay, in terms of managing international partnerships on partners, everything is available to you through the creation of partnerships, to the management of these partnerships over time. Everything is centralized through a secure cloud solution, and it really gives you a 360-degree view of your global partnerships at the click of a button. It's particularly interesting if you engage in multiple partnerships worldwide, because it offers automation and bulk actions to your users in terms of workflow management, which significantly reduces the amount of man-hours traditionally devoted to these activities. And the same is valid for the publishing of mobility partnerships for your students on the reports for your executive leadership. Next slide, please. In terms of managing mobilities, the entire volume of mobility can be processed in a very efficient manner, really at all stages of the life cycle of the mobility. Students themselves can apply on upload documentation, whether they want to engage in an outgoing or incoming mobility. Your users can manage huge volumes of mobility through that secure platform, which is easily customizable. You can really set your parameters according to what your interests are. You can also customize the views that you want to see displayed on your screen according to your own parameters. It will help you communicate through email templates with students. And as I mentioned earlier, record, manage, track, process grants of funding payments for your mobility or other program exchanges. Only has extensive reporting capabilities that you can create and export entirely online. Next slide, please. I just wanted to thank you again for your attention today. It's been an honor and a privilege to take part in this iGauge event, and I'm looking forward to hopefully meet with some of you in the not too distant future in the real world. Thank you so much for your attention today.
Thank you, Mr. Olivier, Dr. Preeti, and Dr. Vinod for these interesting presentations. We will now move on to the next presentation, which is titled Measuring Institutional Quality and Excellence through QS iGauge. And I now invite Mr. Sachin Kumar, Associate Director, Client Relations at QS iGauge, to address the audience. Over to you, Sachin.
Thank you, Prachi. So in next 12 odd minutes, I'll take you through the presentation on QS iGauge rating, as what all we are doing in it and how the institutions can take part in it. Let me just quickly share my slides. Yes, so QS iGauge rating is part of extended QS family, and whatever products or solutions that we offer, they basically revolves around the overall mission of QS, and that is to enable motivated people around the world to fulfill their potential by fostering international mobility, educational achievement, and career development. So it revolves around the students, and we strive to provide independent choices and information to the students, those who are looking for the right kind of educational institutions for their further studies. Those who are not aware of QS, so we as an organization have been there for last 31 years. The organization's first project was to publish a top MBA career guide, and the QS was founded by Mr. Nunzio Quacquarelli, and that is where the Q of QS comes from. Now we have a presence in different parts of the world. We have more than 500 team members. We publish highly acclaimed and widely followed world university rankings. Then lots of regional rankings like Arab region rankings, Asia rankings, QS star ratings, which we are doing internationally for more than 10 years. And then QS iGauge rating. That is basically the topic in of this particular presentation. So moving on, why do you need evaluation for higher education in India? I think there are some very obvious reasons for that. Indian higher education is one of the largest in the world. We have more than 1,000 universities, more than 40,000 colleges. So definitely quantity is there. And of course, many of them are trying to achieve global benchmarks. Accountability, quality assurance. So that is an aspect where we are pitching in, where we are helping the universities as well as the colleges across the country in identifying the areas that how they can further improve their quality. And of course, it results in the overall improved performance of the university or the college per se. Rankings versus ratings. So just to address this particular point, because as and when we visit the institutions and we talk to institutions, there is lots of confusion around it. People want to understand what is the difference between rankings and ratings, as many of them participates in lots of rankings which are being published by media houses. So rankings are primarily a relative performance. So regardless of which ranking you are participating, and particularly about QS ranking here, you will be compared to every other participating university, regardless of the age, size of the institute, and then basis on the performance of yours, relative performance of yours, you will get a rank like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all. It basically creates a hierarchical list. It changes every year because we also publish our rankings once in a year. It has limited indicators. If you look at QS rankings, that is being done at international level. So we are bringing the institutions from different geographies, from different countries together on the same platform. So the indicators that we have are quite generic in nature, and so that they can actually suit the requirement of every higher education system that is taking part in those rankings. So indicators are limited, and that remains the case in most of the rankings which are there. It certainly puts a lots of emphasis on research, but when we talk about ratings and say QS IGAUGE rating particularly, the ratings are much more inclusive and adaptive, as here we're not going to compare you with any other participating university or college. Rather, the evaluation will be done on your data. So we have a liberty of having far more number of parameters and the liberty to get into the details of all the data that the institute can provide. We certainly have kept that in mind, that the benchmarks are still global, though QS IGAUGE ratings are exclusively meant for Indian higher education institutions. The rating results are valid for a 2-year time period. Indicators are, of course, many more, and we put a slightly lower emphasis on research. That is not to say that research is not important in ratings, but that is just to include more number of students, as we understand that lots of them are solving the other problems, like the problems of access, providing the opportunities to prospective students to get their education. Why ratings are needed for an institute? It certainly provides a 2-year learning and improvement curve. It formalizes the areas of strength and weaknesses, so you can improve upon on any particular aspect of the institute if you quantify it. So QSI gauge rating gives you the opportunity to quantify the areas of strength and weaknesses. It gives you an opportunity to highlight the strengths which will come out after the audit, and you will be in a position to highlight these strengths to the prospective market as well. Plus, it will help you in understanding the areas where you need to improve upon. Information gathering and data streamlining, though there are lots of institutions where data is still not centralized, it will certainly help you in that particular aspect as well. It highlights areas that are not covered in rankings because there are many more indicators. And it certainly validates your data for future planning. It certainly supports your institutional goals and KPIs related to your quality enhancement, quality improvement. And then it certainly serves the purpose of a strategic management tool, because at the end of the audit process we are going to give you a detailed scorecard which will help you with all the pointers on various sub indicators of the rating methodology that we have. Again, to summarize, it's a very comprehensive audit of an Indian institution from a global perspective. It certainly helps the institute in preparing a future ready system. If you look at the NEP guidelines, most of the colleges going forward, they either need to convert themselves into universities, and for that they need to start by going for accreditations, or you need to basically collaborate with lots of other institutions and form a degree awarding body. So this kind of an audit, particularly QSI gauge, is going to help you in that aspect as well. And it's a very rigorous evaluation. It certainly empowers institutions towards capability enhancement. We launched it on 21st March 2018 by the hands of former late President Shri Pranab Mukherjee. Going straight into the rating methodology and the parameters that we have. So there are 7 broad level indicators, and in the advanced criteria, so the core criteria is compulsory. You need to go with them if you're going for QSI gauge rating. In advanced criteria, you as a college, you have the liberty to choose any 2 out of the 6 available indicators. So overall rating will be done on 9 different parameters, and 1400 points are available to grab. If we look at different categories that we have, so to get the highest possible badge, and that is platinum plus, there are certain criteria. You need to be in institutions of national importance, or you need to be in within certain ranks under NIRF. To get the diamond rating, you need to score 1050, which is 75%, and to get a gold rating, 55% marks. So same applies to subcategories as well. So you will get badges for each and every category. You may perform very well in one of them, and then the other one can come up as an area which probably you need to work upon. Nationwide scores, colleges and universities, the highest score we got was 1265, then the minimum was 554. So the gap is huge. We have some fantastic institutions which have done a lot when it comes to improving the various aspects of the institute, and there are others which are on the course of doing that. These are the scores of colleges. In college category, we got 1101 at the highest score, and the lowest was 424. This list is just an indicative list. Obviously, you can go to the website igauge.in. We have signed up with more than 100 universities and colleges for QS iGauge rating, plus the other solutions under the brand name of QS iGauge. And we have published the results of 70 plus universities and colleges. So both the hosting partners of this event are rated by QS iGauge. What else do we offer apart from QS iGauge comprehensive ratings? Subject ratings are uh, again extremely important. So being a college, if you can improve, or being a university, if you can improve all 10 departments of yours, then obviously there are better chances that the overall institute will also perform well in all the quality related aspects. So we are offering subject ratings in 17 different subjects at this point of time, starting from agricultural sciences to architecture, and then engineering, pharmacy, management, etc. E-lead certification was launched last year in the month of May, when we realized that parents were very concerned about the aspect of a prospect institute having enough capabilities to deliver the education in online mode, because no one was sure of how coronavirus will take shape and how the pandemic will move. And now we are seeing that most of the institutions are running online, but this certification can certainly add more credibility to your claim of having all the necessary requirements to run your courses online during corona pandemic and otherwise as well. QS iGauge school rating is our latest initiative. This is an area where we did not have any national level independent player doing the ratings of the schools. So there are lots of ranking agencies, ranking organizations which are doing this, but rankings essentially does not help them in how you can improve your rank. They may not share insights on that. QS iGauge school rating can help you in that particular aspect, and of course it aligns well with the new education policy. It empowers the stakeholders and certainly help when it comes to increasing the brand presence of the institute. And it of course, we understand that regardless of how good the school or college or the school is, there is still a scope for improvement, and QSI gauge ratings, be it for colleges or schools, can help you in that particular aspect. It is again a very rigorous evaluation that we do. So after branding, once the audit results are out, we of course help the institute in taking those results out to other academic institutions or to the students or to the industry as well by various events. Here we have mentioned some of the examples, some of the events which we take part. On the left hand side, you can see the participation of QS IGAUGE in NEFSA conference in US. So time to time we keep participating in lots of events, and we also keep organizing lots of events like the one we are doing at this point of time. So, and these events could be focused on the academicians or on the students, or somewhere at the intersection of industry academia partnership or purely for the corporates as well. Institutions, of course, they know it very well how to use their audit results in marketing and branding. I'll just quickly take you through all the slides. And then we also reach out to the prospective students by participating in various student-focused fairs. So we also organize them, and we also participate in the fairs which are being organized by other relevant organizations in the recruitment industry. So these are some of the examples. Andhra Pradesh state government has also gone for QS IGAUGE rating of all of its state government universities. Objective was primarily to improve the quality. That's it from my side. Actually, I quickly wrapped it up. Over to you, Prachi. Thank you.
Thank you, Sachin, for a comprehensive presentation that highlighted the processes of various ratings that are offered by iGauge. So we have also curated two very interesting masterclasses that are starting now simultaneously. First one on concepts and implementation of outcome-based education, and the second on augmented reality. So I request all the delegates and speakers to proceed to the lobby of the virtual platform, where you can see a blue banner on the left side, which reads "Click here to join workshops." And on selecting that, you will be directed further to a Microsoft Teams meeting. And alternatively, you might have been receiving notifications on the portal as well, so you can join the workshop from those links. So before we disperse to join these masterclasses, I would like to take this opportunity to extend my gratitude to QS IGAUGE, KIET Group of Institutions, and Noida Institute of Engineering and Technology for coming together for today's event and making it a success. I also thank all of our speakers and presenters for sharing their valuable insights with us today. And a sincere vote of thanks to all our audience members for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the sessions and had some takeaways from it. Thank you and have a great day.